Good morning, traders and investors. I'm Joel Alconin, along with my co-host Dennis Dick, as well as Brent Slava, Jake LeCure manning the wires, and last but not least, Mighty Joe Young. Joe, how you doing this morning?
I'm pretty good today, Joel. How are you?
Oh, well, if Ari wasn't blowing me up on Twitter, I'd be, like my phone here, I've had to recharge it 3 times. It's like
it's
buzzing all the time
it's
on
the
the.
financial analyst sign of affection, Joel. He really likes you.
Yeah, yeah. So Fari, he actually is so giddy about his bet. He thought he was coming on the show today. So we may get
I'm
a.
surprised he's not there at the office knocking on your door right now.
You got
Yeah.
his days
I
mixed
want
up,
my
huh?
soup.
Yeah, he
Yes.
wants the
So
soup.
Twitter, we can get to that. Nick Shaheen nailed the Twitter there. Hopefully, he had a corresponding position. But Joe, we got any guests on the show today?
Well, let's see what I can rustle up here. Well, it's Wednesday, Joel, so that means it's Market Patterns and Trends Day with All About Trends is Harlan Pyan. And then we have returning from previously Ryan Mallory of at SharePlanner. Get excited for that one, Joel. I know you are. But don't forget the teaser. Tomorrow's the big day. Mr. Doug Cass will be on the show with teddy bear and all.
Oh yeah, Doug Cass in the house. You got to
And he
tell.
was featured in Barron's over the weekend there too.
Yeah,
Dougie Cass.
now he gets an upgrade.
Now he gets
Gets
an upgrade.
Yep, now he gets to come on Benzinga Option House pre-market prop. But Dennis, we got some business to take care of today, and these S&P futures, after extremely tight range yesterday, still looking the same way today. I have some good numbers, really good numbers today.
Okay, give him to me.
Out, you had yesterday's low at 1865. You had Monday's close at 1866. You have the pre-market low at 1866 and a quarter. We're 4 points above that. Unless we take out that level, there's absolutely no chance of the market going down today.
You think so? Even with the Fed decision coming up this afternoon?
Well, that's a whole different. Now you get into macros here.
We'll say there's no chance.
No,
Going
I'm
up
saying
before 2
if it
o'clock.
holds, if it comes down there the first time, I'm buying. It comes down there the second time, I'm buying. It comes down there the third time, I'm buying. Until it breaks through that level, yesterday's low, Monday's close, pre-market low, it's a great level setting up here. If in fact it does crack it by 2 or 3 points, we'll probably go to 1844, and that was your low on Monday.
I'm still sticking to my scenario where I think, and obviously this all depends on what's going to happen with the Fed, what's all going to depend on what happens with the unemployment number, but I still think we could go up there, go through those highs, kiss 1900, everybody gets all bullish again, and then tank. But I'm still not in love with this market overall. I think with the Momos as far out of favor as they are, I think everybody might be right with their short calls, but I think a lot of people are going to get shaken out before we actually start going down. So still looking for pops to fade here, just looking for a little bit more of a pop to fade than at 1870. And yesterday, you got to consider a lot of consolidation ahead of today's Fed decision. Also, a lot of
What are they going to say,
consolidation.
Dennis? What are they going to
Same
say?
thing they always say, but maybe she'll slip up. Remember, like last time, Ellen was saying, "Oh, we're thinking about, what she said in the last meeting there when putting a timeline on it, and that on obviously the end of QE, and that timeline was scaring the hell out of the market. So
Right.
maybe she'll slip up and say something again like that.
Dennis, usually like this, I know your intraday trading is not your favorite thing, but you do come back to the terminal for such events. I mean, do you try and take positions ahead of it? Do you try and react to the reaction? Do you use it to exit positions? What's your strategy?
Sometimes exiting positions, sometimes sitting orders out at big levels, and that's what maybe we'll go into a little bit today. Give you some big levels on some stocks. Like for example, we had been talking about the Procter and Gamble $83 level for the last 3 or 4 shows here, and again, I did get short yesterday there, 82.95. I was actually short coming into the yesterday, and again it tops out there. But sometimes if you're sitting orders, because you'll get that whipsaw effect, and if you know there's a big level, know there's a big institutional order sitting up there, sometimes you can get a nice short or a nice long, depending on what the stock is, off of your levels. So if you know your levels ahead of time, which is key there, and obviously we've got some levels that Joel's going to start doing for you on the side screen here. He's got them there on the E-mini. But on the overall stocks, if you know where there's some big institutional resistance, sometimes it'll chop right into that and then come right back down. So on a stock like Procter and Gamble, if it's trading around 82.5, I might be throwing out some orders in the 82.90s just in case we get a whipsaw up on the report. And like a stock like Wells Fargo, it's been $50. It's been absolutely enormous on this thing. So if it's trading like 49.70, maybe I'm sitting out there 49.95, just in case it whipsaws up to that level.
So those are orders that you put out there just based on the size in the book, and you could care less what's going on. I mean, if the S&Ps rip up like 10 points or something, just because of the size in the book at that level, you'll stick with that order?
Well, that depends. Now, obviously, if the S&P futures rip up 10, 20 points, well, if Wells Fargo is at 49.70, it's going to blow right through 50. But I might have that order out there and just banking that it's not going to be an immediate 20-point pop. If it was a 5 or 6-point pop, though, it would get me down on that order. And we know how it whips out. There's always seems to be a little bit of a head fake there, where the stocks will start to go in the one direction, and then they'll come back down the other direction, and then maybe go in the direction they were going right off the bat. It always chops around on these numbers. It often does off the unemployment data as well. So you got two events here. You got this afternoon, and then you've obviously got the unemployment data on Friday. So, and that's the same thing, same scenario, although that's pre-market trading, which is always a little bit thinner and a little bit scarier if you're, trading in the pre-market. But this afternoon should be interesting.
Yeah, let's touch on the crude market here. I know Johnny Spangler was taking some heat through the 101.50 level yesterday. I hope he held on. Got to 102.20. I think you had a little Russia fears over there, and you got that rally, but it came unraveled. Late in the session, you had a lower open. You've cracked through $100 now. That 50-cent lower open really got things going. Just quickly, the April 8th low in crude was 99.75. We've hit 99.88 in today's session.
Well, the big psychological level, we're right there right now at $100.
Means
Obviously,
nothing to
crude,
me. Means nothing to me. That 100 means nothing to me.
The 100 means nothing, yeah, so no psychological level there for Joel. But anyways, just looking at crude, it obviously has held up fairly well here. I mean, looking at the individual oil stocks too, ExxonMobil made new highs there yesterday. Chevron made new highs yesterday. They closed kind of weak, but still got to respect the relative strength, at least in the individual stocks. If not, the oil's pulled back here a little bit, but I kind of think this 100 level, this whole area is going to hold.
Okay.
I don't know why.
I won't argue with you.
And then you got gold, and obviously gold with the market not nearly as nervous. It's trading down $6 here again at 12.90 here, just kind of hanging out. But there's really not that much interest in here with the S&P futures back up at 1870. A lot of other value stocks making new highs there. They're still just rotating around in the stocks, and they're kind of just ignoring gold. And until the Fed says something really, crazy, or get some bad unemployment data, which just means more QE, so I don't even know if that's bad. I think gold's just kind of lost its luster here again.
Can't hang out, even though you've popped over 1,303 the last three sessions. You only managed one close there at 13,080, and that was on Friday. Hanging 90 cents off the low. Minor support yesterday's low, 86.10, but I really got nothing under that until the 68.40 level.
Okay, let's go to what everybody is talking about here. It's Twitter. They reported there last night. Brent, are you kicking around? Can you give us the breakdown on this report?
Good morning. Yeah,
Good
sure.
morning, Brentster.
So they reported break even on an adjusted basis. The street was looking for a loss of 3 cents per share. Sales were just over $250 million. They gave a bit of guidance. Q2 sales expected in the range of $270 to $280 million, and then they did raise their fiscal year 14 sales guidance just a tad. They had previously guided in the range of 1.15 to 1.2 billion, and last night they said we are expecting fiscal year 14 sales in the range of 1.2 to 1.25 billion. Analysts on the street are around 1.24 billion there. In the quarter, they said average monthly active users was 255 million. That was up about 25% year over year. And then their mobile monthly active users hit almost 200 million during the quarter, 198 million in Q1.
So, where's the super bad news, Dennis? From what I've heard there.
I think a couple things here. First of all, they're still not profitable, which is never good news. I was thinking some people were hoping that they'd actually show
Amazon went to
this quarter.
$450. Okay.
Well, yeah,
never
we're
been
not profits, but we know Amazon's at least reinvesting. They're still trying to figure out how to monetize themselves.
Good point.
Second thing I was hearing is the active user base. It did grow 25%. But it had grown, I think, last quarter 30%, so that growth is slowing a little bit. Is that correct, Brent?
Yep, that sounds right.
Yeah, so they don't like seeing the active user growth starting to already slow a little bit, and that's concerning as well. And that's what they're looking at. I mean, there's a lot of room to grow here. Only 250 million users here, so there's room to grow. But Phil Perlman was on Yahoo Finance yesterday making some great points, and he was trying to, tell what Twitter needs to do to get themselves going here. And there's a number of things. He says the first thing, when you first sign up for Twitter, people don't know what to do with it. They don't know who to follow. They don't know where to go. So they need to, like he was saying, having auto follows. Like if you're interested in finance, you're automatically following, Wall
Dennis
Street
Dick,
Journal, all
Triple
the
D,
Ben, and
Triple D.
yeah, and Benzinga and all the other, they're automatically following all the financial networks there. So you know what to do because people are lost. They're like, okay, I'm signed up on Twitter here, and I don't know what to do with it now.
There's definitely a bit of a learning curve, that's for sure.
Yeah, there's more of a learning curve. Like obviously, when you sign up with Facebook, I'm gonna go follow all my friends. Where you're gonna go hunt your friends down. It's kind of cool. Here, you're just kind of sitting on your hands and you don't really know what to do with it. And I think people, like Phil was saying, is maybe not even getting through that first whole step in the process of knowing what to do with the account. And then, obviously there's a lot of things, from the monetization perspective to try to figure out how to do this. Facebook is still trying to figure out how to do it. And Twitter's going to have the same hurdles trying to figure out really how to monetize it. I mean, I get ads in the Twitter feed a little bit. They pop in there now and then. I never click them though. And obviously that's, a hurdle they've got to get over too, is you can stick an ad in somebody's face, but if nobody's clicking it, is it really any good?
You want the old man's perspective.
Yeah, give it to me.
I mean, I just think it's just boring. It's just kind of a pain. I mean, I have it up. I look at it. I look at tweets and stuff. I sometimes put some things out there and stock tweets and stuff. But it's just like it's not something that like I have to have open on my phone or on my browser to hear what all these people are saying. I mean, it's just. I mean, I think it's good from the breaking news thing. If someone's there, someone's happened, someone could tweet someone out. But I mean, I don't know. I just think it's just a pain, and I think that you're really going to have, I think it's the demographics. I think you're going to have a generation of people, I'm old, but even older, that are just, what do I need this for? I can, I text message, my wife, my two daughters, and a friend of mine too. It's just not an essential part of my life. And a lot of people, now I would say Emily, who's tweeting and doing all that stuff all the time, but there you go to the gender gap. I just don't think it's appealing to a large enough of the population for it to be a really successful company.
Yeah, even looking at my friends, I mean, there's hardly any of them on Twitter, to be honest. I'm sitting here, I'm 38 years old, but a lot of my friends aren't on it either. All of my trader friends are on it, but that's a different story. I mean, it's actually a nice asset to traders because you can always find the information. If you can't find what's going on, sometimes Twitter, like I said, can actually break the news first because they don't have to verify any of it. If it's a rumor or something, you can just tweet it out. So Twitter's actually pretty solid, and for traders. But there's just not that many traders in the world. So,
Yeah.
So I don't know, like you just get somebody that's just a normal, let's say typical like construction worker or something, or even my dad, he likes to read the morning paper. He's never going to go onto Twitter and actually read the news off of there. So there's definitely a target market, and you got 250 million people using it. How many of those are really active? I'm not sure. Maybe they're all very active, but there's room to grow there. I just don't know how you grab the rest of that target market too. How do you make the target market bigger?
What do you think of this pre-market chart, though? I mean, you had the flush, and I got a lot of people out here. You just made a recent low at let's see here. Just made a pre-market low at 36.56. You're getting a nice bounce off that. You got any feelings here for the regular session?
All I can tell you is if this thing bounces up to 40, because that was really the number here. We got down there April, just around 39.68. We got down there the other day, 39.30. That's where we've taken out the recent lows there. I think they're going to line up to get out up there. I think this thing gets another $2 pop from where it's at right now. There might be an opportunity to short the thing. Am I picking bottoms in here? No, because there's too many unknowns in Twitter now. It's too many unknowns. This is a level that we've never traded. These are all-time lows.
This is all-time lows.
Yeah, and my rule of thumb from a trading perspective is to never buy stocks making new all-time lows, because usually stocks making new all-time lows continue to make new all-time lows. So I'm not a contrarian really at heart here, maybe a little intraday contrarian, but overall the trend I still believe is your friend, and the trend for Twitter is down, and I'm still looking at this as fading the pops. And if it pops up there to the 39.50 area, $40 area, and you never know, I may try some shorts. There's some low risk shorts.
J Dot's a non-tweeter. He says it's too much busy work and he has a life to live. And I think that's pretty much sums up my thoughts. But Dennis, what if you were short this thing coming into the number? Or come into this and you had a put spread or something. I think you'd have to want to take some profits on that, wouldn't you think?
It's a big move. It was a disappointing report here, but is it worth down $5? I don't know. It could continue to move down here. But yeah, if I'm short the thing, I'm probably bringing in some gains. I mean, you're getting 10-12% here overnight, especially if you were able to cover in the lower 37s. It's had a little bit of a bounce here in the last hour. So now it's not maybe looking as attractive as it was when, to cover in a 37.
You think the low's in for the day?
What's the overnight low? 36.5?
36.56.
You know what? I'm not going to make the call. I think it might be, but just the way it's trading now, it seems to want to be drifting up, and you're getting some bottom pickers coming in here. So I think it could be, but what do you think?
I do. I mean, I'm always a contrarian here. I think, you got a lot of people that had the 40 puts, 39 puts,
Right.
38 puts, 37 puts. It is Wednesday. You're going into a Fed meeting, 2 days left in those weekly options. Maybe the kind of thing, maybe they'll hold it up here Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Then once they get all those weekly options people out, flushing on Monday down another 2 or 3 sticks. But I would use that 30, if it gets back down under 37, 36, 56, boy, and you're short this thing, have to take a look at it. Probably your ultimate trade would be if it took out that pre-market low, went down another 20, 30 cents, and then came back on the upside.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's what I always like. And Ace is saying a potential short squeeze in this. And I'll tell you, that's one thing. If you're looking at the sentiment in Twitter, and I'm a big fan of fading sentiment, everybody hates this stock. The stock is possibly the most hated stock on the street here right now. And that is a dangerous game. So I think if you're coming in here and shorting the stock at 37.77 as a long-term trade, you might be a little late to the party because the stock has obviously fallen from $70 at the beginning of the year. So you're chasing it a bit. It's basically been cut in half since its new highs there. That being said, there's always places, for short-term, swing day trades, shorter-term trades. And I'm still looking at that $40 level. And those are more day trades. So when I'm saying, if it got up there to 40, I might try a short. I'm not saying I'm looking at shorting this in my investment account and forgetting about it. I'm saying that there could be, if it gets up there the first time, maybe it pulls back a buck. Like Ace is saying, this thing is popping around dollars here a lot in the pre-market, and it'll be popping around dollars in the regular session, I'd imagine, as well. So there's definitely some trading money to be made here if you can identify big levels. The only big levels jumping out to me here is if it got back to 40, then I think you got a lot of people lining up there. So I think that's huge. And obviously those pre-market lows you're talking about there too, Joel, at 36.5.
I think when he's talking about a short squeeze here, he's talking about, it during the day trading, but this is anything but a short squeeze here. The shorts are loving this move here when the stock traded over $70. So, shorts are going to be looking to cover. The longer term shorts going to look cover. Anybody that's day trading it and tries to short this thing down $5.5, $6, they're going to have a lot less, room to maneuver. But a short squeeze. I mean, the short's going to be asking for any more, than this terrible report, or a report that's not that terrible that's interpreted as being terrible.
A few people in the chat just saying that the show went out for them. Just always, you can refresh your browser. It's actually, I've had it up on 2 computers here. It's been working for me the whole time. Always listen to this in Google Chrome if you can. It seems to be the best medium to listen to this. If you're listening to it in Explorer, it's just not a stable enough browser for our stuff. So Google Chrome is the best choice, and it's working fine on my end. So hopefully it's working for most of you guys out there.
Good tip,
we did have a couple other reports working on your end too, Brunster.
Yeah, I'm okay. Real quick, we are getting a little bit of action in the S&P futures right now. We just had ADP employment change for April out, 220,000 versus 210,000, and the reading for March was revised a little bit higher, so better than expected reading there. And it looks like the futures are following through. We bounced off of around 1870. We're trading just under 1873 right now.
Kind of muted response here, which is typical.
Right. The futures actually bumped up a little bit before the report came out, so I don't know if there was a little anticipation there, or if it got out a little bit early, or.
Okay, just real quick, people in the chat room having a few problems here with the Benzinga servers here pumping out the show. So please bear with us and let us know how it comes in and out. Dennis, I was trying to fix the Benzinga.com when just a second there. What stock were you talking about?
I was just going to actually just jump into eBay there because they actually reported there last night. It seems like eBay always disappoints, do they not?
They
Seems like
the
they
last
go
few
down
quarters they have.
last 3 quarters. They go
Yeah.
down on the initial earnings report, and then they seem to slowly drift back up. And over the course of the next couple of months, they get back all their losses and then end up going to highs. It seems like it always does that. So if you're the play, I guess, is to buy eBay a few days after it reports there, and then sit on it for about 2 months, 2.5 months, or while it runs up before the next report, and then it sells off here again. Now it sold off about a month and a half ago this time because all of the tech stocks, everything's been getting kind of whacked. But here's eBay. It popped a little bit ahead of the number yesterday at 54.54. Then they report here overnight 70 cents versus 67 cents. And Q2 guiding lower, and this is where they're whacking the stock. They're guiding Q2 lower. They're seeing 51 to 53 against analyst estimates of 70 cents, and that's knocking the stock down $2.50 here at 52.10. The big number, well, 52 was actually had a few lows there in
Yep,
February.
exactly.
Dennis, that Q2 number was the gap figure adjusted. We're looking at 67 to 69, so a little better,
Okay.
but still below the street estimates right now.
Okay, thanks there, Brian.
So what's Carl saying? Is Carl just buying more here?
I don't know if Carl chimed in on eBay.
Okay. All right. 53 was the number. Had quite a few lows in that area, and we have come crashing down through the 53 level. I'll just alert our traders at the pre-market low, 52.02, and then Dennis did mention some other lows in the $52 area back in early February. So kind of one of those pre-market charts where it's kind of like like a EKG, up and down, up and down, up and down. So we'll see if that $52 level holds.
And if you want to know where the real big support is, if you're a swing
50.
trader, I don't think there's any chance but it is. It is 50. Bring up the weekly chart, and 50 just jumps out at you. I always try to keep my technical analysis very simple. And when you bring up a chart in the first second, what number jumps out at you? And when you bring up the weeklies and you look at 2012, 2013, 2014, and you bring that up, actually, you can go to a monthly chart if you want. What number jumps out at you? 50, because it bottomed there multiple times just forever. It just jumps out like a sore thumb on that chart you're looking at right now. And that's the level where I'd say, that's got hard support down there. So 52, maybe good for a day trading level, a short-term level. Long-term swing trading level, I like $50 on this stock.
And just, going those numbers like 50 or 200 or 300, those are, like, to me, I see that one blip through the 50 down to 48 and change, so it takes a little significance off us, though, Dennis, though. I do see if you're doing a swing trade, you don't care about a 1.5 or 2 points or something, or you do care about it. But, you take a stock, we've been talking about these biotechs here, and, a stock like Biogen, flirted with that 300 for, kind of held on 300, rallied above it, but then you started to get the closes below 300, and then that's and then a lot of people, well, when it gets back to 300, I'm going to sell, and you got to get that. Besides the technical traders, you get the investing public and the psychological levels like that. So I agree with you there on that 50 level.
Go back to that Biogen, and this is just another thing we're pointing out from our technical analysis, how we like to keep it simple. But if you go back to that weekly chart that you just had up there, Joel, what jumps out at you? You can look at the highs in late October, early November, and like you said, it was bumping up through the 300, trying to get through 300, finally got through it in early January, ran all the way up to 350. Now we're back down, we've cut through, and I know that one day there last week we did cut back through 300 there and got above it. But if you look overall here, what jump number really jumps out at you is 300 here again. And now you have this whole foreboding head and shoulders thing forming. We've got the left shoulder to 300, the head up there to 350, and now the right shoulder is forming here under 300. And obviously with, a lot of these stocks have had a lot of runs. We've been talking about that. A lot of people were sitting on a lot of profits. In Biogen, I was lucky enough to be one of those people participating in the Biogen here. And I'm looking at this thinking, man, this right shoulder is starting to form at 300. And if that starts to crater, this thing could be at 250 here.
Are you out? Are you completely out?
Originally I had, how many shares did I have? I think I had 300 shares of this originally, back in the day at like $45, and I sold I think the first 100 at like 150, and then I sold another 100 at like 250, and then I sold, and then I wanted to keep a small position, so I had 100 shares left. I sold 50 shares at 309 right on the earnings report. And I was like, I wish I would have sold the whole 100, but I only got 50 shares left. I was like, I'm just kind of running with the house's money because this was one of my best trades. This was one of my best investments probably of all time. Like I was up like 400% on the thing.
If
So
you
I was
would,
like,
if you would have stuck with your thing, you would have sold 100 at 150, 100 at 250, and then 100 at 350.
yeah, I should have. Why didn't you tell me that, Joel? That would have been awesome.
Okay.
But anyways, that was long term, and that was my investment portfolio there. But from a trading perspective here, so I still have a small investment, and I might just sit on it just because I'm playing with the house's money forever in that thing now. But from a trading perspective here, I'm looking at this 300, and it's looking big. And I'm thinking if you can risk yourself, and on a $300 stock, you're doing a swing trade, you got to give yourself 5-10 points. You can't give yourself a point. You're going to get stopped on this thing all day long. I mean, the spread on the stock is a point sometimes. So you got to give yourself at least, I'd say, 10 points. If you're saying I'm shorting this thing up at 298, I'd give myself almost to break out over that 311 area. So if it starts getting up over 312, maybe that's your stop loss. So giving yourself 13, 14 points. And if you're risking, 2-to-1 risk reward ratio, if I'm shorting this thing at 296, 298, and if I'm risking 14 or 15 points, I want at least 2-to-1. I want 30 points. I'd be looking at my target on that trade to be down at 250, 260. I think it's a decent setup there. I think that's,
Okay.
the way
You got TWX earnings for me?
we do. Time Warner reported
Twix.
91 cents versus 88 cents, 7.55 billion versus 6.61 billion. So beat on the top, beat on the bottom. Stock is trading slightly higher in the pre-market here, 65.30 going out to the dailies and looking at this 66 number kind of jumps out at me. I don't know if it's going to see that today or not.
Got over 66 though. The initial pop took it way up there. Let's see how high we got. We got to 66.90 and not very many shares. You come flopping back down here. Currently trading here at 65.30. Look at that in the context of yesterday's range. Big level here. Three lows, 64.36 to 64.56. Call that whole area 64.50. I'm a buyer as long as it holds that level. Coming back on the upside, Dennis, you've had a string here of, what have you had? You've had 4 lower highs here. So people are kind of wanting to get out of this thing just based on that short-term technical pattern here. Trading above yesterday, right at yesterday's high, 65.50. That's still good resistance to me. And your 3-day high at 65.99. Can you see anything at 66? Is there anything at 66 in the book?
No, I don't see anything in the book there at 66. Maybe something will show up. I can see this guy offering 65.30 though with the iceberg order. He just sits there and continues to refresh. They've been trying to buy him, but he doesn't move. So that's obviously this participant. We don't know how big he is, but somebody big wants out here at 65.30 in the pre-market. So keep your eye on that because sometimes these things do reverse. But the report was okay. I do think the major resistance is up there at 66 though.
Okay. All right. What else do we got on our docket?
Let's go to U.S. Steel, symbol X. We haven't talked about it for a while here. They reported earnings there last night as well. 34 cents versus 30 cents, 4.45 billion versus 4.49 billion. So beat on the bottom line, missing the top line. Wishy-washy here. Stock trading down about 30 cents in the pre-market. So kind of muted action. Only 9,000 shares have traded here in the pre-market. Another one chart here. This is not looking that healthy either. Man, it's kind of like a broken record here. A lot of these charts don't look that healthy.
Yeah, X just seems to just be like dead money here.
It is.
Yeah, yesterday's low 25.72, previous day's low 25.42. I don't know. We did not get there in the after hours and pre-market trading. So support for now 25.50. Coming back on the upside, you closed right near yesterday, the high, 26.34 close. The two highs from Monday and Tuesday, 26.39.42, double top, good resistance.
There was a comment in the U.S. Steel press release that said they are going to be expecting reduced income from operations during the second quarter. That's got to be weighing on shares a little bit this morning.
It's not a good comment.
Nope.
I think this stock is just dead money too here for a while. I don't like the look of the chart here, and I don't know. I'm not interested in this thing from the long perspective. I'll tell you that. Brent, while we got you there, our loser of
Yeah.
the day is Vistaprint here,
Uh-oh.
VPRT. It's trading down $11 here right now, very light volume. You give us that earnings report there from
Yeah,
last night?
sure. They
This morning?
reported. Yeah, it was late last night. Yep. It was about 4 or 5 last night actually. So they reported GAAP EPS 4 cents, adjusting that comes out to 24 cents. Sales coming in at 286.2 million, and they gave a little bit of guidance that wasn't so hot. Fiscal year 14, adjusted EPS in the range of 270 to 285. Sales expected in the range of 1.25 to 1.27 billion. Let me get you some estimates
What
here
hit the
for a little
market, Brent? We
comparison.
just dropped 5 points.
There was just some data out 1 second ago. Not 1 second. It was GDP. Wow, coming in at up 0.1%. The street was looking for 1.2%.
Ooh.
This was the first reading for Q1 GDP. So not a good take for our first reading of GDP here for the first quarter.
Rut-row.
Hit you guys with a couple of data points there.
Okay, thanks, Brent. Well, first of all, this VPRT here, wow. Someone was leaning the wrong way on this one. Look at the...
Weren't they?
Oh, man. That's just going to inflict some pain on some people here.
There was no insider trading there, I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah. Outsider trading here.
Outsider trading. They had the numbers and they lied to him. It was like that whole, what's that? Remember
Trading
the movie?
places.
Yeah, when they got the orange, they got the
They
what
got
was
the
it?
wrong
The
data.
crop report. And
Yeah.
they made it up. It was the wrong way. This is Vistaprint. The
Well-
report. They had the inside information. They lied backwards.
Biggs, right? Biggs
Biggs.
Biggs got this one wrong. Now he's in the cage with the ape here. But oh my gosh, look at this. This is ugly here. I mean, I see it took an initial plunge to the $42 level, 42 even, and then it looks like it spiked up. Then you had another odd lot at 42.11. So let's just keep an eye on here on 42. This stock hasn't seen these kind of levels in a long time. You did have a low at 40.49 in May of last year. So 42 and 40.49 on the downside.
Ugly. A couple other ones just quickly. Energizer is actually splitting up into 2 companies, announcing plans
That's
to split
right.
up into 2 companies. You got any more details on that? Or is that just the head-
It's going to be the household products segment and the personal care segment. I haven't seen any details on if they're going to like rename the segments or anything like that. I don't assume that it'll be like Energizer household products. I bet they'll come up with some new and exciting name. The company also reported earnings this morning. Adjusted EPS 188 versus 171. Sales were a little worse than expected at 1.06 billion. So definitely street looking at that news that they're going to separate, but also a little earnings on the table this morning in Energizer.
What's the symbol on that?
ENR.
I knew it was an E. I was going.
ENR. And the stock is absolutely
wow.
flying. We're up at 114.5, so it's gaining 17 points on this. This seems a little bit overdone to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
You got to go back to 2007, 2008 to find levels on this puppy, Joel, because this is a 6-year high for the stock right now.
Just to split up like this, I don't know what's going on with this. I
Pops
guess
the fade.
Unlocking
Yeah,
value.
Yeah,
Remember that?
Yeah, unlocking value. We've heard that before.
Worked with Apple.
Yeah.
Well, not the split up, but the split.
Is this an all-time high for the issue here?
It's not. You got to go 2007, 2008. It was back up here and then, but it's 5-6-year high. It got up to 119, I believe, back in 2000. I'm just trying to look at my chart here. 118.88.
And I got a 119.60 on that. So
Yeah.
I don't know. If I was long it, I mean, 100,000 shares though. There's people taking a look at this. I keep
If I was long this,
yeah.
I'd be gone. I'd be gone.
114.75 pre-market high. I think I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't try and pick a top at this, but maybe like if it just around, and this has no technical significance at all, but maybe if I was trying to lock in from this leap, maybe give it a couple points below 112 or something, let it go. But big move, and I don't know, just on a company breaking up. So not convinced here. But Joe, are you going to be dialing Harlan for us?
I can certainly do that. Let me just cue him up right now.
Okay. All right. So
right.
he's doing that. What else do we want to cover before we get Harlan Pyan on of All About Trends?
Well, tomorrow morning, XOM is going to report. We talked briefly about it making a new high there right as we started the show, and it broke out nicely, got up to 102.57 before pulling back. We'll see what Harlan has to say about XOM here in a second as he comes on the show. We can hear him ringing in the background. But XOM here just trading flat this morning at 101.51. Harlan, are you there?
I am here.
Harlan is
Apparently
here.
Yep.
I think
Apparently
Harlan.
the pop-out window works.
I think for Harlan, I think this is what he looks forward to all week. Harlan, is that what you do? Like, are you like? Do you
I do. I have fun here. I really do.
do you get a tissue out like after the show's over and you say, "Man, I'm not going to be on the show back until next Wednesday."
Oh yeah. Bummer.
So-
what am I gonna do?
All right. Well, what do you think about that little spike down on the GDP number? Does that change your? I mean, we were floating up towards yesterday's high, and then you get a bad number. Does that adjust your trading strategy at all for today?
What are the E's doing anyway right now?
They dropped 2.25, 69.50. We didn't make a new low on the move, but we were trading right near the highs when that came out. They didn't like the number. They did the old flush, but didn't make a new low. Now just kind of climbing back, or trying to climb back, I'd say.
So it's just waffling.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Well, I guess I heard Dennis yesterday, and when you look at the daily, I think he was talking. It wouldn't surprise them to see a break into a new high just to shake everybody up. I'm kind of of the same opinion. If we are going to work our way higher to retest that highs, because sometimes when you get really close to a high, it tends to act as a magnet.
Yep.
So, for me, hey, if we go there, don't go buying the breakout because, right into a new high in the S&P, guess what? There's a lot of people who have stops placed there that are short. So what do you think those trade bots are going to do? They're going to go, look at all those orders. Wow, can we inflict some pain on the shorts? So what do? They take it up there. Those people stop out. Once that dust settles, guess what? Yeah, the market rolls over, but it rolls over without those people.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Like that's what I always say too. I call it kind of like the tractor beam is what I used to call it, where it's a magnet, tractor beam, whatever you want to call it. It'll go up there, hit those stops out, and the other thing you got to consider too is when people are short the stock, especially the short-term traders, they throw out bids right away, and those bids lend support. Once you shake out those shorts, all of a sudden there's no more bids or no more short covering there because they've covered. So then it actually opens up a little bit of air below, and then if you get the breakout players and swinging them the other way, you can hurt all those guys too. And the market always likes to inflict the maximum amount of pain on short-term participants there, and I think it would do it in that case. If we went up there, it took 1903, 1904, everybody on CNBC would be like, "We're going higher, new highs. You can't stop this market." Everybody would get bullish all there again, and then I think the floor falls out from under them. So that's a scenario that I'm looking for, and that's a scenario that I'm going to be playing. I agree with you, Harlan. I think if it starts to break out over 1900, I'm going to try to short that breakout.
And you know what? The market's going to take advantage of everybody's emotional extremes.
It's what it does.
It's like, yeah, oh, absolutely. You can't look at this market and say that it doesn't trade off of emotional extremes. I mean, just look at the last few days. Strength gets sold, weakness gets bought, all in micro time. You look at the daily charts, they're kind of a mess. So, but guess who's having fun? Anyone who's an extreme short-term trader that trades the extremes. So,
Hey, Dennis, I kind of smell a little bet coming on here.
Uh-oh.
We're right here at 1870.
All right, give it to me.
I'll take 1840, and you can have 1900.
Wow. And it's all going to happen probably this week too, because we got so much fundamental information happening here too.
Well, that's going to be a fun part too, because, look at today. I mean, if you're operating in today's environment alone, all right, so the E's are starting to roll over on GDP. Well, okay, so what if we keep going down, down, down? Well, guess what happens today? Fed policy today. So, because that's really, in my humble opinion, that's the only tool they got anymore is to just talk. So, Janet talks and, we're not so, mean on the economy. So then the next thing you know, here we go to the upside. So, personally, I think both you guys are right. I think we could, those are the numbers you got to frame.
Yeah,
I think so too. Like that's the whole thing why I'm torn on that bet because I'm still bearish overall. I just think we could have a 30-point pop to shake out all the shorts and then go down there. So that's the scenario I'm playing. So
Actually, that
it's
would be
hard.
really healthy.
Yeah, it would be actually. Shake out the shorts, pull back, get all them out, and then it would be healthy to do that.
so no bet,
So,
no bet.
no way.
Well,
No
don't-
bet. I'm not in.
Movie
Maybe
today,
Harlan
aren't you?
wants you on that bet. I'm
The
not
only
taking
reason I'm saying this is because we've come up to this area a couple times, and we came up there in March, ran up, had a couple tight ranges, and then we gave away. We came back up here in April, exact same level, inched our way up, had 2 days of tight ranges, gave away. Here we have the breakdown again. We come up again. We have one kind of big range day, but now we're on our second day of just a tight range. I mean, the S&P is usually, I mean, to me, if this move's continuing, we should be just blowing through this 1870 handle. We should be blowing through the all-time closing high at 1882.50, and we should be moving up there. I mean, to me, that people are just saying, hey, we got through the previous day's high. I'm still selling. I'm still selling at 74. I'm still selling at 75. I'm still selling at 76. And just in the midst of the earnings season and stuff, for me, if it doesn't go there, maybe just impatience with the markets and whatnot, but when you have a big run up, you get a period of consolidation. Yeah, it could just be another continuation of the trend. But since the market has been up here, the last couple times, this is what happened. I guess I'm just banking on the same scenario.
You don't think everybody's too short here, though, Joel? Like everybody I hear on CNBC is like, and even in the Twitter and stuff, everybody seems to be leaning a little bit on this level. They're all saying the same thing. We're
Okay.
thick up here,
Well,
and I don't know. I'm always a crowd fader. So, what do you think, Harlan? What do you think?
Yeah,
overall?
Harlan, you got to settle this argument here.
Well, I think you're just in a big chop fest and get chewed alive here. When you look at the S&P, I mean, look at it from March and April. All it's done is chew you alive. So, but that being said, as I look at the daily, like Dennis and me were talking about, where hey, we can easily see us break out, retest that 1895 level. Look what it did at the beginning of April. If you look at all of March, it was a brick wall at what 1880-ish.
Yeah.
And then what happened? You had 2-3 days where it broke into a new high. Everybody was just, hey, sky's the limit, and whap. So that's exactly what me and Dennis were talking about. What could occur should we go up there? But I can also build a case for us going down to 1840, because there's some good support, 1835-40 zone. Mm-hmm. So, it's really such a middle of the road that if it hits, it hits. It's, if you get your trade, you plan your trade, and if it comes up there, and, there's a trade for you right there on the short side. So, when I look at it from that perspective, okay, if it goes up there, yeah, I'll take the trade. If it doesn't right now, this is just kind of a lot of waffling around.
Okay, let's move on to some individual issues here. I know this is like so far away from your moving averages and stuff, but Twitter traded down $5 today. What do you think about that?
Well, honestly, I think a company is only as good as its stock.
That's not very good right now for Twitter.
Well, pretty much. If you really think about it, a company really is only as good as its stock. What's going to make you the money? The stock. What's the stock doing? Anyone who's a trader, is very keyed, or a technician like we are, is very keyed on what's the action. Action speaks louder than words. And, obviously, the impact is words are creating a reaction. But so I'm, it's kind of like what Dennis said. I'm very much the same way. You grab a chart, it should just jump right out at you. If you have to squint to see a pattern, it's not there. So, you just look at it, and Twitter is just, I don't know, there's nothing there to work with.
Yeah,
I think a great company,
so too.
It may work for people. There's just nothing to work with.
You're in the middle of nowhere here at 37.70. You really are in the middle of nowhere. If it gets back up to 40, then I think everybody that's bottom picking is looking to get out, and I think you run into resistance up there. But right here at 37.70, you got the pre-market low down, $1.20 lower here, and that 40 level is 2 points higher. I think I'm sitting on my hands at 37.80. I just feel like there's no trade here.
Exactly. And look at it this way. Draw a line across just shy of 40-ish since it went public. Well, now that you broke that major support, guess what's a brick wall?
Yeah,
40
we
bucks.
were talking about that.
Yeah. Right.
Okay.
There's nothing else to talk about.
What about Apple? Had the good earnings running up, just kind of consolidating under the $600 level here. Two highs right at the same area here, bumping up against today. Do we take it out today and go up and hit that 600, or what's your outlook for Apple?
I have a hard time buying a stock that went from 530 to 592 in 1, 2, 3, 4 days. That's like chasing a bus to me. So, I can see some support. If it comes down to 570, I can build a case because that's where it broke out of, but not here. Strength does get sold. And why isn't Apple getting sold? Well, what is it, 8% of the NASDAQ? So could you imagine on a bad day if they killed Apple too, what the impact would be to the indexes?
It'd be in real trouble because everybody's been fleeing into Apple. Like that's
I think it's a tape painter.
Yeah,
they use it to tape, to paint the tape.
Oh, that's it, Dennis. Can you put that one in the glossary? We'll have to put a little asterisk next to
that list I'm putting together there. I have so many terms in there. I have to sit there and define them all, but it's getting longer and longer and longer and longer. I'm gonna need everybody helping me with that one. So if you got terms that you want defined, send them to me because the list keeps getting bigger. I'm gonna have everybody help me actually writing the definitions for these things. So
okay,
it's all in my head.
All right. Anything? With the market up here at highs, is there anything that you're talking about selling pops? Is there anything that's just kind of popping out here, rebounding that you might be looking to short here over the next day or two? Any tasty levels?
Well, reactions, earnings reactions have been getting shorted. And we've seen that a lot. Where a lot of those that pop, they tend to right away drop. And you're looking at, just a slew of companies yesterday came out, and you've already spoken about a few of them. Panera, is another one. There's just a lot of names that are just getting hammered on earnings. You sure don't want to, short something. At least I don't. That just fell 10, 15 points. So and that's the same thing it's like buying Apple that just popped 30, 40 points. I do have my eye on one name. It's a small name. And it's just, you pull up a daily chart of FYRG.
FYRG?
Sam, Yellow, Robert.
Oh,
Sam.
Okay. Sorry.
Synergy Resources?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. All right. Ooh, look at that.
Now, based on what we talked about it, how it should just jump out at you.
I'm looking at it.
Oh yeah, I see this. This is the kind of trades I like here. When you come back, you have a low here. Let's see what the exact lows are here. You had the pop up. You had a low at 1169, and then you go back a few sessions. You had a low at 1165. So trading up a little bit in the pre-market, but to me, this is kind of a thinner issue. Through that 1165, I'm looking for the lower 11s.
A lot on that chart, the number that jumps out to me, just looking on it from that monthly perspective or from the last 2 months, is $11, Harlan,
right.
And that's where it looks like I'd be a buyer.
That's exactly what it is. Let them come to you. Some will, some won't.
It's a great point.
I look at it this way, and this is kind of what you and I. This is exactly what you and I were talking about, Dennis. Where it's like, hey, this chart should just jump out at you. You should just bam. See it right away, and it's plain as day, $11. There's support.
That's the number. Yep.
So are you apt to short it going into that, and covering there and reversing
I'm
going long?
I'm not going to bother for 75 cents.
Oh, really?
Because
okay.
Because we don't know. We don't truly, it's pulling back, but we don't know how far is it really going to pull back. It's managing the unknown the moment you take the trade. Now think about that one. Because the moment you hit the enter button, you are at the mercy of the market, whatever you do, and you have no control. So that's why we, as chartists, we tend to like to use support, resistance, to help define where our fluctuation risk is. It smooths out the volatility and the internal volatility within yourself.
And Harlan, I agree with you. And it's all about knowing when to swing the bat. And if you're swinging at 1176, you don't know. It could just take off and could be the low here because it's still in an
Yeah.
uptrend. It might not give you that chance to buy it back at 11. But if it's to pull back to 11, and that's what we always try to set up on the show is scenario analysis and where to swing the bat. And just like on Twitter this morning, if Twitter gets up to 40, you can maybe try to swing the bat with a potential short trade here. If SYRG gets down to 11, you can potentially swing the bat on a potential long trade down there. And I think that's what you're talking about, correct, Harlan? Is when
That's
to swing
exactly
that
what
bat.
I'm talking about. You have to be prepared in advance. You have to have a method to the madness. And even if you do swing the bat, guess what? You can be the best chartist in the world, and you're still going to, one day, you're going to be the ball. Just like one day you're the fly and one day you're the windshield. So, it's all probabilities. And, what we tend to do is we look for, the highest probabilities as chartists.
Okay. All right. All right. So I'm still trying to get you to find an issue to short here, and then you bring up SYRG, and I'm looking at. That's the good thing about
It does
charting.
look good. Hey, it is what it is. You got to trade what you see.
Yeah, and I look at it like, whoa, going through the double bottom, going to 11, just kind of like my bearish nature. And then you're looking at you and Dennis, the perma bulls. You're like, oh, I can't wait till this thing gets back to 11 to buy it. So that's funny that when we got three people looking at the chart. Two different opinions. You guys are probably right, but
it depends on what time frame and frequency you're operating in. Joel, I can build a case for it. Yeah, it can go from 1176 to 11, and on the short side for a scalper day trader, that's a good trade. I'm not going to deny you that because it's true.
Okay, all right.
So it's just a matter of what time frame and frequency are you as an individual operating in and living in.
Okay, we talked about the biotechs a lot, and a stock like Biogen is kind of broken down here. So, is this broken through your levels here, where you're looking to short it on a pop, or are you still? I mean, because there's a lot of people. I mean, if you look at this, and also with charts, you can look at the time frames. You can be saying, hey, this is just a healthy pullback to 270. 275 is major support here. I mean, what on a stock like Biogen here? What's your take?
Well, from a big picture standpoint, yeah, 260 jumps out at me. It just boom, But that's like very, very big picture, But when I'm looking at the 6-month chart, yeah, I can build a case for hey, there's a head and shoulders top here.
Okay.
But I can also build a case for 270, which is also the 200-day moving average. That's going to be stiff support.
Yeah.
So knowing that that's going to be stiff support, what if it comes down there? Okay, if it comes down there, you better be prepared to potentially take a trade. What you're going to want is, on the long side, what you're going to want to see, you're going to want to see that number defended. So you've got your level, see if it gets defended, see if it stabilizes, because look at the last time it hit that 275. It sat there for 3 days. Mind you, it had a 10 to 20 point swing each day.
Right.
And that's what we're seeing a lot of these days. Big wide swings on the average daily ranges. So you need to allow for more flexibility and fluctuations than normal. But if it hits 270 and it stabilizes down there, it's probably good for a trade. Who's not to say it goes range bound between 270 and 310 for the next month or two? That could very well be, and
you don't have a driver. You don't have a driver right now. You just had earnings, and Jake likes to point out, the analysts are kind of quiet now. They're kind of in there, okay, well, the numbers are coming. I'm going to see how really right or really wrong I am, and how the numbers shake out, and then once you get through the earnings seasons and they crunch their numbers, and that's when the upgrades and downgrades have a little effect now. But you kind of got that the street analysts hanging under their hiding under their desk. So what's going to be the driver to take this thing back up to 310, 320? I mean, obviously with a stock like Biogen, it's the trials and there's some government scrutiny going on with Gilead and Biogen regarding the prices of some of their drugs. So, boom, if something like that comes out and the government says, hey, you can't charge $75,000 for that. We're not going to let you charge more than 50, then
Right.
you're going to see some wildly adjustments to the downside for earnings. So you're right.
True.
And we Dennis, you got to put SOH. Sit on hand sometimes is
It is. Yeah, that's sometimes the
Yeah.
best
And
trade,
you know
man.
what?
I was going to say
Right,
that's
that
the,
would be a really good thing. Let things just settle down. And now that you got this event-driven time band done, let the stock put in some chart time. The best patterns take time to build. Bigger, we've all heard the phrase, bigger the base, bigger the break. Same thing, bigger the pattern, bigger the break. So, Biogen, actually, if you look at it here over the last 2-3 months, last 2 months, kind of looks like Facebook.
Right. Okay. All right, Harlan. Well, thanks for coming on. If there's any other issues, stick around in the chat room for a little bit and see if our traders can throw out some individual stocks for you to look at. Thanks again for coming on this Wednesday here. Enjoy the rest of the week, and we'll be back in touch with you.
Guys, do the same. Thanks for having me.
Okay.
thanks, Harlan.
Harlan Pyan,
See
all
you later.
about
Take care.
trends. You can see his product on MarketFi. So, Dennis, we had to break down, and now we're just coming back under unchanged here. The little bad news was bought up right away, huh?
This market is going to sit here until we find out what's happening with the 2-day Fed meeting and honestly the unemployment data too on Friday. There's a lot of money that's sitting on the sidelines waiting for that information. Trading is all about information, and when you're waiting on information, I think you're just going to have the bulls and the bears jockeying possibly here for the next 2 days ahead of the unemployment data on Friday, and that's when we'll get the real move. So other than that, we're just kind of in a trading range here right now, and I would expect a little bit of muted action here unless it's something crazy with the Fed today.
Today's the announcement, right? This is the second day of the meeting?
Yeah, I think it's Brent. Is it 2:00? Is Brent still there?
Today is the announcement, right? Today's the second day of the meeting?
Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. And
Two
then
o'clock is that the time it usually is at? I think it's 2
Yeah,
o'clock.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
They sometimes will do that press release or that conference at like 12:15 where the Fed chairperson will come on and give some comments. But today it's not that case. We will get the result or the rate decision at 2 p.m. sharp.
Okay, so obviously we can move after that. So keep that in mind too. Going to be quiet before that, I would imagine. Imbalances, morning imbalances here. Merck, I've got 93,000 shares to sell. It is actually trading down about 15 cents here. But Merck was an interesting one there yesterday, Joel. It did sell off from those pre-market highs, but then it was fighting its way back pretty much off the open. It opened up around 57.5 and ran up $1 quickly to 58.5. Consolidated for the whole entire day, and now it's trying to go up here again. I do like buying strong stocks on weakness, and interesting, this Merck is breaking out to a multi-year high here with yesterday's move, and now pulling back a little bit with the sell and bounce this morning. I don't know, maybe this would be a shot to try along here.
Did you get that one off the open? Because I know you were kicking it yourself because it traded up to 59.50 in the pre-market, but the way it came down right before the open, it really wasn't even like a gap situation. It opened at 57.50.
Didn't open up much.
Yeah, it didn't open. I mean, it still opened up a stick. It opened up a stick, but it was still below yesterday's high. So you weren't, 23 cents off the open. I'm sure if you bought it 57.50 and it was, 23 cents against you right away, you might have hit the exit button. I know you like to use tight parameters off the open, but maybe you had some stock in the book that held it down, and you got that lower open, and now
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it gave you a shot because the stock was very active in the higher 57s, low 58s in the pre-market there. It was one of those scenarios where the designated market maker opened it kind of low, maybe with some buck holding it down, and it gave you a shot to buy it actually. Up in 59.50, I want to sell it. I should have been looking at to buy in the low 57.50 because it was a good report, and like you said, it didn't open up that much. So it gave you a buck there if you were quick off of it. And unfortunately, I was not.
It was actually, it really even came down lower than that in the pre-market. After hitting that 59.50 level, it came back all the way to 57 even, and that was, within, 30 cents of yesterday's close. And then you could see here when the true liquidity comes into the market at 9:30, boom, took off. But yeah, I was trying to find a level here for this Merck, and I was looking at boy, long time to go out on this Merc here to find resistance. Actually, I see some monthly highs, 61.18. I mean, I don't want to get carried away here, but that was back in January of 2008. Maybe, maybe you're going to start to get a beat on that psychological $60 level, something like Merc. We're only, less than a buck and a half away from it.
Something to consider. Its brother-in-law Pfizer there obviously has been rumored with the AstraZeneca stuff there lately. Was pulling back yesterday as obviously nothing materialized from those rumors. And I'm just looking at it here, and it has a 56,000 share selling balance, so small. But somebody's reloading up here at 32.
Oh,
We knew when this thing gets into the 32s, it's thick as hell. I actually have this in an investment portfolio. I lightened it up there at $32 2 days ago because I don't know. I'm just feeling like I've been in this thing for a long time. I bought it back in the teens, and this is almost double for me. So I did lighten up my Pfizer investment in the 32 area. But here's a scenario where they're reloading again. There's 92,000 shares up there at 32, and it's one of those scenarios where if it doesn't get up there, maybe during the Fed announcement 2 o'clock, you throw out some orders in the 31.90s and maybe get a quick short off.
I got a level I like here. Two lows, 31.37,
Yeah.
31.40. That's a double bottom there. Trading 35 cents above it, first time down, perhaps either to cover short or initiate a long. Now, under 31.37, let's say this market just goes into jam reverse here, opens up flat, can't get anywhere near 32, goes back down through that level. I'd see some potential downside to 30.80 would fill the gap, had another low at 39. And that's a big move. But, just think why this thing went up, Dennis. It went up because they might take over somebody else. And usually when stocks do a takeover, they usually go down. And here it's a rumor that they may do it, and it went up. So I think this is a total BS.
Pop to fade?
Yeah,
you think
total,
it's a pop to
total.
fade? I tend to agree with you on it. That's why I lighten up my investment position on it. And I think I'm going to be trying to short this thing in the higher 31.90s here today. Obviously, we got to keep an eye on the news wire because something does happen there. You want to be careful. That's the one thing scary about bringing these things home overnight short, because if something happens overnight, then you get caught on fundamental news. But overall, here I think they're going to still be lined up in the 32 area, and it looks like some institution is already there.
I feel like there's been this trend recently where a lot of the acquiring companies aren't going down like they have over the last 10 years or whatever. I think it's something that I've kind of been noticing over just maybe the last 6 months or so.
I think over the last year, Brent, I do agree with you that both companies seem to acquire. They like the synergies there, and both companies seem to pop when you get these merger announcements.
Right.
So you're correct.
Investors just loving the M&A.
Okay. All right.
And that's typical of a bull market. I mean, everybody just finds reason to buy companies no matter what. So it's the type of market we're in too. Everybody wants to be in stocks, and they're like, "Oh, it's great." So.
Okay, all right, Dennis, we're going to let you go here. We're going to bring on Ryan Mallory, a founder of SharePlanner. So, Dennis, if you got any questions for him, throw them in the chat or any comments. If not, I'll check in with you after the open.
Okay, thanks, guys. Have a great trading day.
Okay, we're going to take a 30-second break here. We'll be right back. Welcome back, traders and investors. We have Ryan Mallory, founder of SharePlanner. Ryan, how you doing today?
Doing great. Thank you for having me on.
Okay, could you just, I know we had you on once before, but could you just tell our listening crowd here a little bit about SharePlanner?
Yeah, so SharePlanner, it's my website I started back in 2007, and it primarily focuses on swing trading. And essentially what it does is it provides market analysis, daily stock picks, and watch lists, as well as some premium newsletters where you can get my real-time alerts and text, as well as a pretty vibrant chat room where a lot of traders come to each day to follow the markets.
Okay, so swing trading. So what's your time frame on your swing trades?
my average trade will last anywhere from a few days to a couple of weeks.
And probably the longer you're in it, the better it is.
Yeah. Oftentimes, I mean, in this kind of market that we have right now, you find yourself taking gains a whole lot quicker. You don't really trust any price movement in the broader markets to be sustained.
Okay. Do you have a watch list of stocks that you follow that you're looking for particular patterns in the stocks that you follow, or are you more the type of trader that you have your setups and you scan the universe of stocks and look for stocks that are going into your swing trading setup?
Yeah, so it's a mixture of both. Really, what I do is on a given day I'll look through between 400 to 500 charts on a given day, and then
Every day you look at 400 to 500 charts.
On a day I can flip through them at a second or two a piece, so I can usually identify them pretty fast if it's worth looking at. So when I scan them, I'm not really the variables that I use when I scan is not to so much scan for certain patterns per se, is I'm really trying to scan out the stocks that I wouldn't want to trade under any circumstance, no matter how good the patterns are. So I give myself a wide range of stocks to scan through to be able to look at, because I really don't want a list that gives me like 10 or 15 stocks to choose from. I'll carry a watch list, an active watch list of about 60 to 70 stocks to the long side and also to the short side. And on a given week, I might pull the trigger on about 10 of them.
Okay, and are you looking for long trade-ups as long as short setups?
Yeah, so I look for both of them. I always keep an active watch list for both sides of the trade. It's far too easy, and particularly in this market here, or any market really, where the markets can just completely shift on a dime, and all of a sudden you need to be able to have a watch list that allows you to trade with a different bias. So even though sometimes, especially like in 2013 where the market kept going up, it seemed pointless to keep a bearish watch list, but even then it did come in handy at times.
Okay, all right. So what kind of trades do you have on your radar for today? Do you have swing trades that you're already in, or are you looking to initiate some trades?
One of the tough things about April is because you do have to take gains so much quicker. It keeps you from really building up. You tend to stay in cash more, so you tend to have less positions active at any one moment. But a couple of stocks that I'm looking at today, one would be DK. That stock, it's really setting up extremely nicely. It's an oil and gas delic.
Could you give me the symbol on that? I'm sorry.
DK.
Oh, DK. Okay.
And so you have an inverse head and shoulders pattern there that's confirming really nicely right there at the $32 level. And so the closer you can get in at 32, the better. It's got some nice volume that's been coming on over the last 2 days. And this is a stock that you can get into at around 32, and then you can put the stop loss at around 30.78, and there's the potential for it to go, to $35, $36 a share. So there's a good reward to risk ratio there on that particular trade.
Okay, all right. So could you just give us the parameters that you would use on this trade?
Yeah. So right, it closed yesterday at 32.11. There's probably a good chance that you can get in maybe around 32.05, and so the closer to like 32.05 that you can get into, the better. The stop loss is going to be right at about 30.75. So you're only looking at maybe like a 3% stop loss on this trade. Now you have the potential for it to go all the way up to $35 and change. So you got about a dollar 30 to the downside, but about $3 to the upside. So you got more than a 2-to-1 reward to risk ratio there in your favor.
Okay, all right. And so any potential shorts that you're looking at?
So on the short side, one that I really like is BKD. That's the Brookdale Senior Living stock.
Okay, all right.
And and not trying to kick anybody out of their comfortable livings or anything by jumping in this short, but essentially with BKD though, 31.47 is where it closed at yesterday. I want to be able to get short on this stock at around 31.34. What it has here and what I'm looking at is a double top pattern on the stock that was forming from late February through early April, and it broke down really nicely. And then you had this bear flag that's formed since then that's showing that there's probably a little bit more downside that wants to come on board with this stock. So if you can get in around 31.34 as a short, and then trade it down to say 28 and change, I think this thing could easily get down to 28.96. But now you're going to want to put your stop loss at about 32.30. So you have about 80 cents to the upside of risk versus about $3 or about $2.50 of reward to the downside. So that's another like a 3-to-1 reward to risk ratio playing out in your favor there.
Okay, and the way I look at it, I kind of look at this one too here. I mean, he's had some real good support for going back to the 21st. 31.26 was your low 2 days ago, 31.27. And a lot of times when I look at a chart like this, I'll say, okay, well, it's hitting this support, but the bounces that it's getting are coming lower each time. So you bounced off 31.49, you went to 31.75. You bounced off 31.26, you went to 31.67. Yesterday, you didn't get as low, 31.36, but you only got to 31.47. So I can definitely see the setup in the trade there. Do you do any short term or any day trading?
You know, rarely will I do any day trading. If the opportunity arises, I'll take it. But I really don't go into the day with all that much emphasis on my day trades.
Okay, and just I just like, of course, it's in the news and everything. We've talking about it a lot on the show. Could you just give us a take on Twitter?
Yeah. So going into yesterday, had it not had earnings coming up, the stock was really appealing at this $40 level, and of course, I don't think it was a stock worth trading into earnings or anything, but that $40 level was a key level for that stock, and what you had there was just a history of support from the time that the IPO came out into the open market, and then you had multiple retests since then of that $40 level. Now that you got it trading at like $37.50 in the pre-market, I don't see where there's an edge anymore to this stock. I mean, especially from a swing trading perspective, the stock is really in unprecedented territory here, where you just really don't know where it's going to go. I mean, it could have the buyers come on and gobble up the shares, or it could just continue its free fall. It's really
random
really
walk,
hard
huh?
stock to find any edge in it.
Okay, so are you? I mean, I could really tell that you focus on the charts and your technicals, and that's what you rely on here. But there's fundamentals. You've had a lot with earnings and stuff. Does that stuff you just wait for the chart setups? You don't care what the companies say or what the analysts say?
Yeah, I really don't follow the analysts at all, and I really don't follow too much about the earnings. I mean, on a stock like Twitter, you'll hear about about the negativity about the earnings report and everything else, but it's as far as getting into the meat of the earnings or getting into the conference call, I've never really had too much desire or benefited from that really either.
Okay. All right. Well, we've had our Ryan Mallory on here of SharePlanner discussing his strategies in the market following his technical analysis for swing trades. Thanks a lot, Ryan, for coming on. Your insight is always welcome on the show, and we'll be in touch with you soon.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Okay. All right. What is going on here with Mighty Joe Young?
Well, Joel, it appears that 44% of Americans approve of President Obama's job performance and 50% disapprove, said a new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, a slight uptick from his all-time low of 41% approval rating in the poll last month. Majorities of Americans do not approve of how President Obama is handling neither the economy nor foreign policy, but for the first time since early October, more people have a positive view of the president than a negative one. A majority of Americans also believe the economy is stacked against people like them, and that because of a widening income gap, America is no longer a country where, regardless of their background, people have an opportunity to improve their standard of living. However, 47% to 39% say the current economic conditions are something Obama inherited as opposed to something his policies are mostly responsible for. China has rejected a World Bank report that suggests it might pass the United States this year to become the biggest economy measured by its currency's purchasing power. China is on track to become the #1 economy by sheer size by the early 2020s and possibly sooner, but its leaders downplay such comparisons, possibly to avert pressure to take on financial obligations or make concessions to trade or climate change. The estimate by the World Bank's International Comparison Program says that based on 2011 prices, the purchasing power of China's currency, the yuan, was much stronger than was reflected by exchange rates. BNP Paribas is facing fines of about $2 billion as well as criminal charges for violating U.S. economic sanctions against several countries, including Iran, according to people with direct knowledge of the matter, part of an accelerating crackdown by American authorities that has caused upheaval among European banks. An internal probe by France's largest listed bank found that it breached sanctions against Iran and tried to cover up these transactions by altering trades to remove coding that would identify their origin, a process known as stripping, said one of the people. U.S. authorities are weighing criminal charges also against individual employees, the person said. If the company goes ahead with criminal charges against the parent of the Paris-based bank, it could lead to the first guilty plea by a bank in decades. Alstom SA said Wednesday its board unanimously endorsed General Electric's $17.1 billion cash bid for its energy assets, giving the U.S. company a lead over German rival Siemens as in a politically charged takeover fight. All board members found enough strategic and industrial merits in the GE offer to start a one-month review, the French company said in a statement. Alstom said that it received a declaration of interest from Siemens and said it would provide the German company with fair access to information to allow it to decide whether it wants to make a bidding offer of its own. And in case you haven't heard, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver has imposed a lifetime ban and a maximum $2.5 million fine on Clippers owner Donald Sterling for making racist comments in a taped conversation. Silver also pledged to take steps to force Sterling to sell the Clippers, a move that would require approval of 3/4 of the league's owners. Numerous owners have already voiced their support of the move. The LA Times reports that V. Stiviano recorded the conversation, her lawyer Mac Nere said, but had no role in providing the damaging tape to TMZ, the website that first broke the story. The conversation occurred at her home in September in the presence of another person, and Sterling knew he was being recorded, Nere said. But he declined to state the purpose of the recording, but said it was by mutual agreement. Stiviano's lawyer said that she was not Sterling's mistress, but rather was working as an archivist though he did not elaborate on what the job entailed. Following the lift on a 13-year ban on consoles last September, Microsoft will soon be launching its Xbox One in China through its joint venture with Best TV eHome Entertainment. eHome Entertainment takes advantage of the slightly more relaxed rules of the Shanghai Free Trade Zone. Current regulations allow for the sale of consoles inside the zone, and we've contacted Microsoft to find out if the Xbox One will be restricted on the same guidelines. Microsoft expects China to be a big market. The company says there are 500 million gamers in China, and as of 2013, the Chinese gaming industry had generated $13 billion in revenue from PC, mobile, and online gaming. And each of the 4,500 plus graduates at MIT will soon get $100 in Bitcoin as part of a project launched by a pair of students who announced today that they've raised $500,000 to fund the effort. Organizers said they hope to establish an ecosystem for digital currencies at the Cambridge campus that will allow professors and researchers to study how students use Bitcoin as well as to promote other academic and entrepreneurial activity around Bitcoin. The MIT Bitcoin project is being led by Jeremy Rubin, a sophomore studying computer science at MIT, and Dan Elitzer, a first-year graduate student at MIT's Sloan Business School and president of the MIT Bitcoin Club. The student said in an announcement, giving students access to cryptocurrencies is analogous. We have a debate. We have a challenge of pronunciation on the news desk.
What did you say, Joe?
I said analogous, like analog.
Brent is totally right on this one.
Analogous?
Yes.
Analogous.
Brent 1, Joe nothing.
That's right. Cryptocurrencies is analogous to providing them with internet access at the dawn of the internet era, said a statement from Rubin. The duo said they have received more than $500,000 in pledges, primarily from alumni, to cover the $100 Bitcoin handouts, which are scheduled to be distributed to undergraduates in the fall. The money will also fund other aspects of the project, including related infrastructure and informational activities. And some landmark TV episodes fell on April 30th over the years. On this day, ABC aired the pilot episode of Starsky and Hutch in 1975. The Cosby Show concluded on NBC in 1992 after 8 seasons, and Ellen, the Ellen DeGeneres Show, came out to her therapist, Oprah Winfrey, in the groundbreaking 1997 episode of ABC sitcom Ellen. That wraps it up for today's editorial headlines and trivia tidbit for the day. Just a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, the show would not be possible without our dear friends at Options House. They'll give you 150 commission-free trades for signing up for an account through this page. There's buttons at the top, at the bottom right. Click on through, open an Options House account, and get 150 commission-free trades just because you listen to Benzinga's pre-market prep. That wraps it up for me. 10 minutes ahead of the opening bell. Brent, are you out there somewhere?
Yes, sir.
Take it away, my man.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty.
Who are you, Rip Hamilton?
Yeah, that's where I got that from. Yeah, back in the day, Rip Hamilton. He kind of spread the yes sir love around Detroit, I feel like. So we had that huge move lower from just under 1874. We touched below 1869 following that much worse than expected GDP reading. That was the first reading for Q1. So not exactly a great way to start 2014. About 10 minutes before the open, we are trading around 1869.75, 1870. I see a little bit of support at 1870 over the last half hour or so, and we just
Consolidation, Brent.
Consolidation. That
yes,
is
yeah.
it.
Because if 1870 is support, then it should be holding 1870 and getting above, or trading at 1869.50.
Well, if this was 10 minutes ago, it would have been support, right?
You should say 1870-ish.
1870-ish. But I do see that consolidation there, and we are under 1870. What levels are you looking for at the open, Joel?
We talked about this earlier in the show. You had Tuesday's low at 1865 even, and Monday's close at 1866. We hit 1866 and a quarter in the pre-market. All is good to go in bull land for Ace. Ace is looking for some big upside action here. As long as that 1865 level holds, we're good to go to test 1875. We got the Fed meeting, unemployment, you know, other things that are coming out. So still hanging in there on the bullish side. I just want to alert our traders that crude is just falling out of bed here. Johnny Spangler, I hope you're holding on to that short still. We are now approaching the low. We are at the low from April 8th at 99.75. Wow. 99.75 in crude, potential support level.
Gold is following that chart pattern. Also, we were trading around 12.97 in gold, now down to about 12.87. Let's go over a couple of the top upgrades, downgrades that we had this morning. I don't think we really got to talk about any of these.
I don't think we did.
No, it was.
We didn't mention one upgrade or downgrade.
It was a jam-packed show. What can you say?
Okay.
Let's see. So we do have shares of 3D Systems getting an upgrade over at Gabelli. Also,
Mario Gabelli?
Yeah, I believe that is his.
And he's upgrading.
Research-related firm.
He's upgrading.
Not exactly Mario Gabelli, but yeah. And then we also had an analyst over at Imperial Capital who set a new outperform rating on shares of 3D Systems. Stocks sold off about 9% or so yesterday, Joe, on
down.
results.
It went down yesterday.
That's right, yeah.
Okay.
And we are getting a little bit of a pop today, but I did want to mention that I am seeing price target reductions just across the board. Piper Jaffray lowered their price target on 3D Systems from 82 to 63. An analyst over at Pacific Crest lowered his price target from $91 all the way down to $65. Just a few of the notable ones. How is 3D Systems looking ahead of the open?
Brave move here by this analyst. Is this his first comments on the issue?
I don't believe so. No.
Okay.
No.
Well, we just kind of trading up a little bit in the pre-market, up 62 cents here. Real bad day yesterday for the issue. Made a new low of the move, flushed out all the people that were leaning on that 45, 44 low. We are right there right now. So I look at that level as resistance here. So if you get a pop up through that, wouldn't fall in love with it. I mean, you do have some room on the upside to 48.50, but let's see what happens at the pre-market high is right here too. So looks like this analyst is getting a little bit of a pop here, but nothing major.
So we've been getting a few data points on housing this week. This morning we have an upgrade on shares of Beazer Homes from Stern Agee. Analysts over there upgraded the stock to buy, and we have shares of Beazer. I don't see any volume in Beazer actually, Joe.
It's just this is not a huge mover here.
Okay.
Yeah, but let's just take a look at it on daily. I mean, that the housing day has been kind of mixed here, right?
Yep, it has.
Yeah, so I'm not rushing out to buy a new house. But, lot of support here. I mean, you can't argue with multiple lows here in the 1826 to 31 area. Low of the move at 18. A lot of highs around the 1930, 1940 area. So if you're so inclined to, try and pick a bottom here, you are doing it with good support. Under 18, I don't think I'd let it go. It's just boom. I'd draw, like Harlan says, draw a line and draw a line. And,
Yep.
I might be more apt to buy this thing at 1950, than it, than, I mean, if it gets down in the lower 18s, yeah, you can lead on that level. But, just not a lot of love here.
So we had Columbia Sportswear, ticker is COLM, as in Mike, reporting Q1 earnings yesterday after the close. Let me see. They were a little better than expected. Actually, a lot better than expected. I'm not sure if the number is comparable, though. I see 63 cents for the bottom line sales, 424.1 million, and this morning we are getting an upgrade over at D.A. Davidson. Not really seeing any action in Columbia despite those results last night.
I'm seeing some action. Well, when was this pop? Oh no, that pop. Wow, what did this thing do yesterday?
Yesterday, yeah, it looked like it was getting bid up a little bit ahead of the results. They also announced that they are going to be buying a company called Prana Lifestyle apparel brand. I believe they are sort of like an Lululemon maybe. No terms. I don't think. Excuse me. Sorry. 190 million in cash. Columbia Sportswear was buying Prana for. So we had some bullish earnings news. We have this upgrade this morning, but it looks like the street might be kind of weighing this M&A a little bit here.
Yeah. Do you wear Columbia Sportswear at all?
No, I don't think I do. No,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I mean, this is some nice gear, right?
Yeah. Well, when I wear my jean shorts and it's raining out, I have this really.
You need some protection.
Yeah, it's primarily for the Michigan football games.
Yeah.
I got this sweet rain suit. It's
Really?
Just, yeah. I mean, everyone's
awesome.
out there getting soaked, man, and I am just.
You're partying.
Yeah, I'm in my Columbia gear, so I like it. Paint and tape here, term we use. Someone printed 100 shares up at $88, so that means absolutely nothing here. Just kind of hanging out at the close. So let's take a look on the daily chart. Boy, this thing is pretty volatile here. When I don't see any action off a number, kind of like to see what happens at the closing price. 81.94 close, 82.22 high. If it gets through there, it has a chance to rally. Below that, boy, there's not a lot until you get down to 79.02. But just to alert your traders here, I don't think you want to be trading 5,000 shares of this thing. It traded 105,000 yesterday.
Right. Let's move over to some of the notable downgrades this morning. I believe it was Johnny Spangler yesterday who was wondering about Corning. This morning, HSBC downgrading GLW from overweight to neutral. And we did have results out of the joint venture there yesterday. Pushed the stock down about 0.5% yesterday. What are we looking at this morning, Joe?
They've really given I mean, the earnings spike that it had a few days ago, that's just so far in the past here, not paying any attention to it.
Right.
We just hit 20.25 in the pre-market, but once again, that was only on 400 shares. What I think you need to keep an eye on here is a triple bottom at the 2023 to 2028 area. It did tick there, but on that, if it holds there, sure, it has.
We're
a
right
chance.
in the middle of that right now.
Yeah, that's good. Triple bottom, good support. We'll see where they take it to.
All right. Also this morning, Teva shares getting a downgrade over at Maxim Group. Teva downgraded from buy to hold. We have shares of Teva trading down just about 7 cents, not getting a ton
Not a
of
big deal,
action here. A lot of volume that I see, but just the downgrade is not taking it down too much today.
Okay, Teva Pharmaceuticals here. This is Israeli generic company, correct?
Yeah, right.
Or is
exactly.
it the sandals?
Nope, not the sandals.
I got a pair of those too. The
Yep.
Tevas. Those are nice.
Those are nice.
Wear those around the pool. You've had a lot of support in the area at the 48.50 level, trading a ways away from that. I use that as support, coming back on the upside. 3 highs between 49.64, 49.83. That is your resistance.
So we have just opened for trade for the day. Good luck on this Wednesday to everyone. Let's see, we bounced off of around 1868 after giving up that 1870 level. Kind of had a couple more points to the downside. We are trading around 1869.5 right now. I have one more downgrade for you this morning, Joel. Citigroup downgrading shares of Coach from buy to neutral.
Coach, one of this. Ooh, boy, that is had a bad day yesterday. Did they have earnings yesterday?
I don't think so. No.
Something happened yesterday.
Maybe they did. No, sorry, I'm wrong. They did have earnings yesterday. It was before the open yesterday.
Okay. Yeah, gap down yesterday. Boom. Already have taken out yesterday's low here. 45.34. We hit 45.07 here. Boom. We'll have to. 44.31 was your low on February 3rd. That's your next stopping point. So we'll have to get our fashion diva Kristen Bentz on again, because she was kind of giving some love to the Coach in the Tiffany's and the higher ends here. So we'll see if she is looking at this drop as a buying opportunity.
I'm sure she probably is. So we have crude continuing lower at the open.
Crude getting crushed.
Looks like gold had a contrary move there. Crude continuing lower. Gold got a little bit of a bounce at the open.
Yeah, it's kind of no man's land here. Let's just take a look at the gold chart here. I mean, when I said there's nothing between that, like 86.10, that was, I believe 86.10 was yesterday's low, and I believe we got through that, but are bouncing up. So, 86.10 was the low from yesterday. Only got to 84.90. So if you come back down again, that 85, 86 area, I look for good support.
Joel, so we have shares of Energizer trading up almost 20% right now.
Okay.
There was that news they're going to separate into 2 publicly traded companies. They also had results this morning. The street definitely cheering that news that they're going to be splitting up a couple of their businesses.
And that automatically makes the businesses more profitable, right? Is that what?
I mean, that's the idea. That's the idea of why they're doing it all. Yes, to unlock some good old value.
Well, they've unlocked it. Unlocked it immediately. They've unlocked it on the open here. The high in the pre-market was 117.75. Now that the regular session has begun, finding 115.80 has been the high. So if you're really holding out here for some profits, 117.75 is the pre-market high. The all-time high here for the Energizer Bunny is 119.60.
All right, so you remember NQ Mobile, Joel?
Oh yeah. What?
Yeah. Get ready. Okay, so the company issued a press release this morning giving a bit of a status update following their independent investigation. The independent investigative team found that there was no evidence of fraud. So we have shares off to the races this morning. We're up about 7.5% right now. We are trading right at $12 right now.
Oh, so the company found in their internal investigation found no fraud. It was
an independent investigation.
An independent internal investigation?
No, not internal.
Okay.
I think seriously, I think they did do an internal investigation previously. Don't quote me on this. I think I'm remembering this, and then now they recently they said, okay, we're gonna have an independent source do an investigation, and they just returned some results this morning.
Okay. Well, it is some good news. I mean, that stock had recovered all the way back up to its pre-Citron levels, and then came back down with some poor earnings. The news has not taken it through yesterday's high as of yet. Yesterday's high was 1220. We've hit 1218. That's resistance until otherwise notified. If you're looking to buy this thing on a pullback, recent low of the move, well, low of the move's been, wow, this thing got down to 965 a few days ago. But a more relevant and closer level, $11, a low at 11 yesterday and 1072 the previous day.
Joel, how did Twitter open?
Oh, how could I forget?
Did you forget? I kind of forgot for a second.
Yeah. I mean, I wanted. Did we talk too much about Twitter on the show today, guys? 'Cause, I mean, it was just big earnings here. Let's just take a look. And what I think I'll do here is I'll do this on the pre-market chart, since we're at levels here not ever seen before in the Twitter sphere. We haven't taken out the pre-market low yet, and the pre-market low was 36.56. I was trying to get Dennis to bite on that one to see, because I kind of thought the low was in, but of course, old stodgy old Dennis wouldn't take anything with any presumable amount of risk. But got down to 37.11. That has been the low so far in today's session. Coming back through the opening print here, so you might get some people shaking like a leaf here if you go back through 38. Everyone that said, I'm finally shorting this thing. And if you did and it gets above 38, then I don't know if that $40 level is going to come into play, but do not like to see stocks that go down initially first and then come back up through the first 15-minute high.
So I think it's about time we welcome on Jake, Shaky Jake, Snaky Jake. I don't know. What are we gonna call him today? What'd you call him yesterday, Joel?
Shaky Jake Liqueur.
He called me the Cure.
The Cure.
That was good.
I
like that one.
At least we don't call him Fake Jake.
Yeah, well, I guess
Fake
I got that going for me. It's something there. Well, one of the movers this morning is level 3.
LVL.
They are tearing right now. Last time I checked, they were up over 8%. Company reported first quarter EPS of 47 cents and revenue of 1.61 billion, which impressed the street. Their Q3 guide, or their coming guidance, was also impressive to the street. So
yeah, I believe they raised their fiscal year, both the free cash flow and the EBITDA guidance. So looks like the street is loving this report this morning.
Do I got the? Is
What?
it Triple L?
No. That's L3.
Yeah, this is LVLT. Lima Victor,
man, you guys.
Lima Tango.
You guys and your tickers, I know. I know.
Well, why would I think it was 3L? I mean, LV. I'm like, you guys are. This is up.
Level 3. It makes sense, right?
I got it.
Okay.
We're popping up. We just hit 41.97, and that's higher than the pre-market trading. Boy, this stock. It's hard to tell on ones like this because it was so high. Did this thing do a reverse split or something? Because look at the monthly here. Like the monthly, wow, this thing looks really bullish here. It's breaking out. It's going to 1800, but I know that's not the case. Just going. Let's the weekly here. Boy, this stock hasn't traded at these levels in a couple years here, so I guess $40, a psychological level that's holding up as the low. Below that, you could go down 37.24 to fill the gap. Coming back on the upside, your guess is as good as mine.
I don't believe they have done a split, just to get back to you on that one, Joel.
Well, why? I mean, you see this monthly chart here?
You're telling me, yeah.
So it came down from $1,800.
Wait, no, that doesn't look right.
Okay, all right.
Well, guess who's another one that was up this morning, and that was GoGo. They hit a high of basically $14 in the pre-market. They're now back down into the low 13s, but I just thought it was interesting that they were catching some bids there. They closed yesterday in the 12s, so we're still seeing them up a little bit. So GoGo trying to show some life again, I guess, today.
That could just be short covering, I mean, bad day yesterday. Wow, I took this thing off the screen. I didn't see it. Boy, took out that pre-market low. The pre-market low was $13.95. got all the way down to 1285. I guess you got a low here at 1307 and 1285. So maybe if this thing can make hold that low for today, or next couple days hold out at this $13 level, you might have something to base a trade on. But as of now, it's not looking pretty.
GoGo traded almost 20 million shares yesterday,
yep.
and it normally trades under 4 million. So massive volume yesterday in GoGo.
Okay, go ahead, Jake.
Yeah, definitely something to keep an eye on there. Another one that we've seen moving today, the ticker is POM, Papa Oscar Mike, Pepco Holdings.
A little M&A.
Yes, sir. Brent, did you have the details on the deal there?
Sure.
They were ripping. They're up almost 18% right now to buy. All right, so Exelon to buy Pepco for $27.25 a share in an all-cash deal. Now, keep in mind, right now they're trading at $26.85, $26.84. So they're actually giving a little bit of premium to that, but that is quite a premium over yesterday's close.
What's Exelon? EXC, right?
Yeah,
Yes,
EXC.
sir.
Okay. All right. Wow.
Let's see if Exelon is trading up this morning, I guess.
No, they got this one right.
Rats.
Yeah, boy, this thing is really climbed back, EXC, and not fallen in love with the merger. I don't know how many standard deviations this is out for this thing to drop like this. Nice run up, but back in favor until this acquisition, kind of using their cash here. Hit 34.22. You had a couple lows at 34.33, 34.45. So keep an eye on that as potential support.
So that was one there. Another one that we saw on moving to the downside, actually, it was Vistaprint. Company reported earnings after the close yesterday of 4 cents and revenue of $286 million. I guess the adjusted number there was 24 cents. Let me see if I can get some comparable figures. But their earnings report is really not pleasing the street right now. They did release some guidance as well. The adjusted EPS guidance of 270 to 285. Let me see how that all compares. But Vistaprint, the last time I checked, was down almost 19%. Yeah, so they reported 24 cents, which is their adjusted number on the bottom line. Street was looking for 59 cents. Company reported 286.2 million in revenue versus expected 310.73 million. The guidance did not impress either. So Vistaprint, VP, RT, Victor, Papa, Romeo, Tango, really taking a hit this morning on those earnings after the close yesterday.
42 even pre-market low. Even if you're inclined to short this thing off the open here, 43.99. You did get that. Got a nice trade off. 42.25 the low. 42 even though. That was low in the pre-market. That was something I'll keep an eye on here. LO and Dennis says some crazy action going on in Lorillard.
Yep, Kurt just shot that one over to me actually.
Okay, this is a cigarette company, right?
Yep.
Okay, what's going on with it?
Well, as far as news, I haven't seen any specific news this morning. My wires are basically empty as far as Lorillard goes. Brent, you got anything over there on Lorillard?
Yesterday there was a report from David Faber on CNBC saying that there's something going on between Reynolds and Lorillard, but I believe that was intraday yesterday. Yeah, that was like early in the morning intraday yesterday, so you would have seen that reaction throughout yesterday's session. There could be some more details coming out right now. But I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing any confirmation or anything yet.
It opened flat on the session. 57.51. Boom. That was the open. That was the low. That was the close, and immediately took off north. New all-time highs for the issue. So maybe psychological $60 level might pose some resistance. But we'll keep an eye on it. And trading last 2 days like it's back in play, and I think Dennis, I remember you were talking about that was in play with RAI, so perhaps something going on there. Moscow is trading
Perexel.
What the heck is that?
PRXL.
They reported results last night. They were a little better than expected. 56 cents on the bottom line. Analysts were looking for around 54 cents. They gave some guidance. It looks like they boosted their fiscal year guidance. This one should be trading higher. I haven't looked at the chart today. We are trading very modestly higher, about 13 pennies only.
But am I seeing a four? Is this right? I don't know. Oh, I guess this chart's a little exaggerated here because I'm seeing a 48.59,
That is the high I see.
and then it dropped $3.
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to tell me?
Huge open, huge pre-market session, but no follow through.
But it hit 48.59 in the regular session.
I do see that, and I see a number of trades just below 47. 48.50 might have been like some kind of fishy print up there, or like an outlet or something. But under 47, I do see a number of trades, and we're actually under 45.50 right now.
Oh boy, I mean, I Moscow, you put in there short in here, so I don't know when that popped up here. So it's already dropped $3. If you got in anywhere, in that downward momentum, perhaps you want to take a look at 44.59. That was the low for the session yesterday, and if you even want to hold out for lower than that, 43.88 is your 2-day low.
And I did mention they raised their fiscal year guidance. The Q2 guidance looked rather strong also. EPS in the range of 59 to 63, and analysts are around 55. So I'm not really sure what's going on with the sell-off here.
Yeah.
Oh, nice J-Dot.
J-Dot.
Shorted it last night.
Yeah, taking advantage of it. Good job. 7:59. So before that 8 o'clock close, J-Dot got a trade in. Good for you, buddy. Way to use the pre and after hours trading to your advantage. That's what it's all about here at Benzinga's pre-market prep. So we've held off the open. We've held 1866 and a quarter. 1865 was the super extra major support we were talking about here. So perhaps get a drift up to the close, and that may pose some resistance. Keep your eye on the tape for Fed Day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.